Hi, back here again to talk about some dolls. I hope you are having a wonderful new year so far. I hope 2026 is treating you well. I've been pretty good. Thanks so much for asking. The weekend that this video is supposed to be coming out, it's gonna be like literally 20 degrees here in Texas, so I'm sure I'll be having a lot of fun with that. Stay warm, be safe. Unless you're one of my friends from the southern hemisphere, in which case stay cool and be dangerous. If you happen to be new here, hi, hello, how are you? Welcome to my channel where I like to talk all about fashion dolls and occasionally other things that interest me, but mostly fashion dolls. This here is a video series that I like to do every now and then where I just go through any new and upcoming fashion doll releases. I like to keep my viewers in tune with what's happening in the fashion doll world, and I also like to give my opinions. Speaking of opinions, actually, this wasn't the video I was planning to do this week. I was going to give it another week or so, because it's not good to do these too often, just because it's hard to predict when I'll have enough to actually talk about, and also variety and uploads is just a good thing too. But there were a few things, well, really one release that I saw about 2 days ago, I think, and I just thought to myself, oh, I have to talk about this. I have to. I can't put it off. And I think you'll know her when you see her. Fortunately, we do have a pretty decent amount of other releases too. Not a big variety, unfortunately. I actually think that like 90% of this video is either Mattel or Disney or Disney by Mattel, but hey, that's still something, so let's go ahead and get into it. As always, we are legally obligated to start with my girl Barbie. There are a few things from her to talk about this week. I'll start with the new Barbie Basics You Create kits. So the theme of this Barbie Basics release is neutral. So everything is all neutral or beige and whatnot. Definitely, absolutely not my preferred aesthetic, but let's keep an open mind. These differ from the last You Create kits in a number of key ways. Now, it's no secret that I really hated the first You Create kits. God, that's so awkward to say out loud in a sentence. Anyways, I hated them. I hated the wigs. I hated the outfits. I thought the whole concept was just poorly executed and also poorly designed in a lot of ways. So, first big difference. The first kits could make 3 complete dolls, all with their own outfits. These only have enough parts for 1 complete doll and basically 2 outfits to choose from or to mix and match. And there's a drop in price to reflect that too. These are about $54, which is still a lot, but I don't think it's dangerously unreasonable. Maybe a little. It's pushing it. Next big difference, no wigs. They still have the removable swappable heads, but the hair is rooted in. This was the right move, in my opinion. I also think the face molds they chose are just a lot better this time around, more pleasing to look at, I guess, to put it in the bluntest way possible. Unfortunately, I still hate almost every single outfit here. Okay, well, there's some decent pieces. I do like the maxi skirts, but everything else is, well, I just don't like it. Not for me. Everything being a Kim Kardashian nightmare shade of beige is already an uphill battle, and they lost that battle badly, so I have no real interest in these personally. Next is a Barbie that went super mega viral, and not necessarily for good reasons, and I almost don't even want to talk about her because a lot of the discussion around her has been kind of scary, but here we are. Barbie Fashionistas number 245, the Autistic Barbie. made in partnership with the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network. So she comes with, in Mattel's words, a sensory-friendly outfit, some noise-canceling headphones, a fidget spinner, and an augmentative and alternative communication tablet. She also, unlike most fashionistas these days, has articulated elbows and wrists in order to easily simulate stimming movements. Oh, and her eyes are printed to be slightly to the side, so it looks like she's avoiding eye contact. This doll has invited a lot of anger and a lot of vitriol, unnecessarily in my opinion, and I don't really want to reignite any of the discourse because I don't think this doll is doing anything wrong. I really don't. Autism is not a visible disability, and even if it was, it would still be virtually impossible to encompass every single experience onto one single doll. There is such a wide spectrum of representation when it comes to autism, and I think it's completely fair to discuss how this representation could improve for future incorporation into future dolls, but I don't think it's fair to completely write off the concept of an autistic doll or the good it could do for children just because it does not include every single experience. Like, there simply has to be some nuance here. And also the acknowledgement that this is a $10 Barbie in the Fashionistas product line, which is fundamentally the most basic and vague Barbie line on the market, and intentionally so. All that said, I don't think the doll is, like, above criticism either. Like, for me, that outfit, really, I do resent using sensory friendly as an excuse to dress her in the same ugly, shapeless t-shirt dress that you've been dressing fashionistas in since 2015, because sensory friendly could mean literally anything to different people. Like, when I was a kid, I hated baggy clothes. I would intentionally wear sizes too small sometimes because baggy clothes was like just such a sensory nightmare for me. In the same vein, trying to sell basic articulation in the arms as an accessibility tool also rubs me the wrong way. Like, it's good she has it, but it's also something that every fashionista should have, really. So ideally, I think Mattel should have done a line of fashion and accessory packs with different kinds of clothing, different accessibility aids and tools, etc. Kind of honed in on the whole spectrum part of it, you know, which would have also invited kids to pair them with their other dolls and have the opportunity to see those dolls as autistic too, rather than feeling that this one singular doll has to be singled out as the autistic Barbie. But again, it's just one doll. They might have more in the future. We don't know, but if they do, I just hope they have better outfits. Alright, last thing from Barbie on the list, the third in the gala collection, the Blue Sensation doll. Man, a first doll really is just the way to my heart. I think she's gorgeous, though. Her face sculpt is a new one. It's the Alma mold, which is a slightly modified Odile sculpt, and it looks so beautiful. I also love this particular shade of blue. The shape of the gown is very flattering, and I just know she'll look so good next to my pink Premiere doll on my shelf. So I want to get her. I'm just trying to be smart and waiting on a sale. The dress, I like the shape, and like I said, I love the color. I wish it was just a slightly better material, the ruffles included. If the fabric was a little less stiff, and if the frill at the bottom was a little less papery, then that would level her up like immensely. She's still beautiful though, and no notes on the stole, of course. That's perfect. Next, some stuff from Disney. First on the docket is a pretty surprising release. To celebrate the 20th anniversary of High School Musical, Disney Store is releasing a limited edition 2-pack of Troy and Gabriella. Or released, I should say. They're already out and still in stock at the time of me filming. They're cute. I definitely didn't expect Disney to acknowledge High School Musical, especially in this capacity, but I'm definitely not opposed to it either. These are 130 doll hairs, which I do think is a little much. I get that they're limited edition, but they look... You know, this could have been a perfectly fine Playline release for about $50, $60 even, and I would not have thought twice about that price. Even more exciting for me personally, though, is that they also released a doll of Sharpay in her Bop to the Top dress. Missed opportunity to include Ryan too, but I will say that Sharpay is a very foundational character for me. You can just imagine me at 10 years old watching High School Musical for the first time, seeing her and just knowing on some sort of spiritual level that was who I wanted to be when I grew up. So obviously I was planning on getting her until I saw that she was 100 doll hairs. A 2-pack is 130, and she's 100. The math just isn't adding up for me, especially for a doll of this caliber. And to be clear, I don't think she looks bad. She just doesn't look like a doll I want to pay $100 for, which is kind of disappointing. But it is what it is. I'm still thinking about it, considering it, but I don't know. I think I may end up passing. Next, we have a Disney release from Mattel Creations, a Cinderella doll, which is also a collaboration with the fashion house Victor and Rolf. This is dreadful. This is so bad. It's only January, and I honestly would not be surprised if she ended up being the worst doll of the year. Top 5 for sure. Like, there's no way that they put this out into the world and thought, yeah, this looks like a product people want to part with their hard-earned money for. Oh yeah, $125, by the way. $125. And look, I know it's a collaboration with the fashion house. I know Victor and Rolf. I know the exact collection that this look is referencing. I did not particularly enjoy it in 2019, and I don't really enjoy it now. It is probably, in my opinion, one of the worst collections from them that Mattel could have chosen to incorporate into a doll. Not just because I don't like how it looks, but because there's no way they could recreate any of the dresses the way that they were actually meant to look. I mean, Exhibit A, right? The dresses in the original collection had a lot of movement because they were made to look very flowy and very lightweight. That was the big thing in 2019, tulle and organza and these very airy dresses. But because Mattel does not want to spend more than 3 cents on their adult collectible products, they instead chose to construct this dress from a cheap... It looks like a netting. Even the sleeves, the puffy sleeves are like this very thick, stiff netting, which totally, completely defeats the purpose of the original design. And I didn't even like the original design, but I can at least say it had a very definite point of view. On Cinderella, it just looks like... It looks like instead of making clothes for tween girls, Justice decided to instead pivot to making muumuus for millennial women who are inexplicably nostalgic for 2013. It looks like Cinderella's dress started to disappear at the ball, and the only thing she had to cover herself up with was a comforter she bought on clearance from the darkest, dustiest corner of Home Goods in 2015. If this is what my fairy godmother gave me, I would ask for a refund. I wouldn't care that it was free from the kindness of her heart. bibbity bobbity boo back that ratty, torn up pink dress, because honestly, that sad pile of rags looks better than this. In fact, call Drizella and Anastasia back up here. Tell them to tear up this dress too. If Cinderella showed up to the ball in this, the prince would not have danced with her. He would have her escorted off the premises, because clearly she is not of sound mind. Yeah, I don't like this doll. I think we need to take that Disney princess license away just for a little bit, just for like a timeout. Mattel needs to sit in the corner and they need to think about what they've done. We're not done yet though. One more thing from Disney. A new line of Disney Adorables Adorbs. This one is all Toy Story themed, I assume to promote the new movie. They're cute. They're cute. Like, I'm not mad at them. I think this line has its niche, its audience. I'm just not that audience. They're a little too stylized for my taste, which is a little sad because I actually do like dolls at this smaller scale. Like the LOL Tweens or the Pixlings. May they rest in peace. These unfortunately just don't do it for me. I think the way they incorporate the characters into the dolls can be pretty creative, and they're also willing to be a little more expansive with their repertoire than Disney Illy is sometimes, so I can give them that. They're just not for me, and that's okay. And then there is a release from Wicked. They're not done just yet. And these are actually, so I've heard, intended to be evergreen dolls, so they'll stay in circulation even past the movie's promotional cycle. Sort of like Disney princesses, in a way. So there's Glinda and Elphaba, of course. Clearly, these are quite a significant downgrade from their signature dolls. Glinda especially. Oh, that's rough. Her outfit looks incredibly cheap, and the new faces are, well, they look very happy. Really happy. It's on the verge of being a little too much. I think Elphaba looks a little better. I appreciate that they gave her the tooth gap, as a fellow tooth gap haver. But the smile, historically, it's just not always a good thing when dolls start to have cheaper outfits and bigger smiles. That's usually not a good sign. But for what they are, I guess they're fine, more or less. Alright, and now a few things from Monster High. First is another doll in the Monster High Wednesday line, this time of Morticia. And like the other Wednesday dolls, I assume this one will be pretty widely available in retail locations. She looks fine. She looks like Morticia from the show. So I suppose your mileage with this particular doll will vary depending on how much you like how Morticia looks in the show. I just don't feel very strongly one way or the other, I guess. She's an easy pass for me, but I am definitely awaiting a doll of Agnes. That's the one I want. Don't mess this up, Mattel. Next is the Fang Club exclusive Scara Screams doll, which released January 9th and promptly sold out. Then was restocked a few days later and sold out again. So she was in pretty high demand, it seems. But unfortunately, that does mean at the time of me filming, she is currently out of stock. I keep going back and forth on this one. For $50 plus the cost of the membership, I won't lie and say I was blown away by her. I actually did end up getting her. Silly me. I thought she would be in stock for a while and I could just think it over, but I don't really regret not buying her, I don't think. I don't think there's anything wrong with her, per se. I think a lot of the little details are really cool. Exceptional, honestly, like the detail in the embroidery, the cultural elements, how intricate the veil is. A lot of thought went into this doll's design, and it shows. I just think I personally wanted a little more. Like, the biggest thing for me is her hair. If you're gonna do this late 60s aesthetic, then you need to commit. That hair needs volume. It needs to defy gravity. What she has right now is just a little too flat. You could also play with shapes and angles more, especially in the accessories. And she's almost there. She's almost there. She just feels like 70% of the way there, which is the problem for me. I acknowledge I'm kind of in the minority here, though, clearly, which is totally fine. Like I said, this is a very subjective judgment and the sorts of things that I personally look for in a doll. This is a doll a lot of people connected with, and she made them very happy, and that's all that really matters in the end. Next, we got our first look at this year's Fake Vote doll, and that honor goes to Abby Abominable. So here's the main garment, and wow. Annalise Lau is one of those designers that I honestly just admire so much. Even if she designs something that's not specific to my taste, she still has just such an incredible eye for detail. She has such a imaginative, fashion-forward approach, and when I see her work, I just always think this is someone who is exactly where they need to be, because she clearly has so much love and passion for what she does. Case in point, this outfit is incredible. When I first heard the Fang Vote doll was going to be Abby, I didn't know what to expect. I wasn't really expecting a lot, honestly, but she delivered. This is so cool. It's like that igloo dress from the Lizzie McGuire movie, Grew Up, graduated from college with a master's degree. I don't think she quite dethrones Jennifer as my favorite Fang Vote doll, but I'm definitely happy with her. Let's talk about the options, though. For hair, I'm team bubble braid. I like the crown, but I just think the twin tails fit the vibe of the outfit better, as well as the overall silhouette. For makeup, I like the darker makeup, but I'd honestly be happy with either of these. And for accessories, it's a pretty solid tie for me. Again, I'd be happy with either. I think by the time this video comes out, we'll know which options won, but regardless, I think I'll still love her. Alright, and last thing on my list for today, the third wave of Fearbook dolls for Monster High G3, including Ghoulia, Draculaura, and Laguna. I'm happy to see skirts and pants. This pleases me. No biker shorts. That's nice. And Ghoulia, I think, is definitely quite the improvement over previous Ghoulia dolls. In fact, I think this is like more or less what Ghoulia's signature doll should have been. Draculaura and Laguna, I like Draculaura's hair. I just think both of them have dolls that are far better than both of these, and I can prioritize those instead. Draculaura's first Fearbook doll, for instance, I think is a lot better than this, so they're not my favorite. I just don't think I see myself picking them up. And that is everything I had on my list for today. As always, thank you so much for watching. It is, of course, now your turn to go down there in the comments and tell me all your thoughts. Tell me which dolls you're most excited for, which ones you're getting, which ones you got already, and also which ones you're not getting. Because I do support being a hater, as long as you keep it civil and you keep it cute. But when you're done with all of that, just be sure to like and subscribe for any future fashion doll content. Now go out and get those dolls.